My name is Stan Clarke. I was born on the 4th of March 1924 in a farmhouse at Tobor in central Victoria. I left school at the age of 13 years, saw service in the RAAF Signals Intelligence in the Southwest Pacific area in World War II, but World War I, often referred to as the Great War, and in one area honour roll as the European War, actually started on the 28th of June 1914. Australia pledged a force of 20,000. Although an armistice was signed on the 11th of November 1918, the peace treaty was not signed until the 28th of June 1919. Following Australia's entry into World War I, the government found it necessary to establish a war relief fund. This in Victoria attracted the interest of the State Schools Horticultural Society, which then formed what was at first called the War Relief Gardeners League, but afterwards the League of Young Gardeners. The members were to undertake to cultivate, during the war period, a certain area, not less than 3 square metres, at home for the growth of flowers and vegetables, which were to be sold and the money given to the War Relief Fund. Thousands of garden plots soon came into being throughout the state, not only in backyards but also in school grounds. The holding of a Children's Flower Day was a natural outcome of this increasing interest in horticulture. The day chosen for this event was the 3rd of November 1916. The amounts that the area schools contributed to the War Relief Fund are too numerous to mention here. But SS 1819 Yarrawonga, with over 100 pupils, was well to the fore with an amount of over £467, or $934. The practical patriotism of our school children during the war years of 1914-18 is a unique story which has long been forgotten. The children, assisted and encouraged by their parents and school teachers, became an army unto themselves. A behind-the-scene army, but an army nevertheless. Some performed physical work on farms and paid their wages into the fund. One caught leeches, sold them to the local chemist, and gave the money to the fund. Youngsters caught frogs, which were sold to the medical school at Melbourne University. The growing and selling of potato crops raised on school plots was a ready source of income. Some caught and skinned rabbits, trapped foxes, caught fish, dug gardens, cleared tracks, cleaned chimneys, swept schools, caught horses, did odd jobs and gave up their holiday and pocket money. What unselfishness and charity, what loyalty to their country, what initiative, what determination and industry, what a wonderful role the school teachers of that era played. These were the children who struggled through the Great Depression and instilled in their children the qualities which enabled Australia to survive the ordeal of World War II in 1939-45. In May 1916, a sum of £10,000 or $20,000 was set apart from the War Relief Fund for the building of a section of the Caulfield Military Hospital. The section consisted of 14 wards or 350 beds, which were named the Victorian State School Children's Wards. At times a gift would attract attention by its novelty. Kerrang forwarded the proceeds of a duck shoot, 241 wild ducks. A neighbouring school not only sent wild ducks but also a consignment of Murray cod. 16 sheep from Quambatook and 10 from Tresco were sent alive. A bag of 70 dozen oysters came from Hastings. The weekly average of eggs received was, in September 1918, up to 600 dozen. Wood for the open fireplaces in the hospitals was needed for the winter of 1918, and a special effort by Beechworth and Benalla resulted in a total of 110 tonnes for the cause. All donations were faithfully recorded, and the total figures of the goods supplied to No. 11 Australian General Hospital at Caulfield and other institutions is truly amazing. Those figures included 189 pounds of tobacco and 24,473 packets of cigarettes. We lived in a different world then. The school children of the World War I era were encouraged to make garments for the soldiers abroad, to knit and sew, socks and mittens being very much in demand. It was customary to pin a little note or an address inside the finished product so as to add a personal touch to the gift. Many a man on the verge of despair had fresh life, hope and vigour imparted to him by the words of love and pride penned by a little schoolgirl in the land for which he hungered. We evidenced the soldier's appreciation in a note sent from an oasis some 200 miles west of Luxor. Honestly, I think the little notes pinned to the garments are the best part of the lot. It may not strike you as forcibly, but after living for so long among dirty mud huts, flies, mongrels and stinking people, and to get something that reminds us of the clean, smiling homes of Australia, where people we have never seen are working to send something away for the boys, makes the whole business seem worthwhile after all. Some of our men have not seen a home or the inside of a decent house since November 1914, or even earlier, and the impression these gifts make on them is always rather pathetic. One sees some villainous-looking ruffian, burnt almost black, as the sun in these parts is no slouch, with a shirt in one hand and a note in some little girl's writing in the other, murmuring to himself, "Well, God spare me days," and I think that is almost a prayer. It is estimated that rather more than 400,000 articles of comfort were sent abroad by Victorian school children during World War I. Those World War II veterans still left should ensure that their history does not die with them. Future generations must know the true story of Australia's tragic yet glorious involvement in past wars. Such history should be taught in schools. Without our history, we veterans are just a bunch of nothings, a bunch of misty-eyed old darlings living in a dream world. Before you go to your last resting place, I urge you to do your best to ensure that our history occupies a permanent and important position in every school curriculum. War is horrible and brutal, but we should learn from it, not push it under the carpet. And remember, the price of peace is eternal vigilance, lest we forget.